All right. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of From the Front Porch. I am your host, Joshua Walker. Thank you so much for tuning back in. Another week, another great week in the books, another blessed week in the Walker household. We're going to get into all that and everything else. But before we do, we have to give a huge shout out. Yeah, with that all out of the way. It's been a great week. Unfortunately, we are going to have to get into some heavy topics this week, so stay tuned for that. But what we're normally going to do. We're going to go into sports. Sports going to be a little different, but not too much different. But stay tuned for that. Then, like I said, in politics, another week of just the worst stories you ever heard that should be national news, and you should know all the names, and you should know everything that happened. And unfortunately, they just get passed by the sky was blue today. But we're going to get into all that, trust me. Then we're going to get into attitude and gratitude, and then we're going to do a tier list this week. And the tier list this week, I figured, with a heavy politics section that we're going to do this week, let's just do something easy. And so I was thinking about what we should do for this tier list, and while I was thinking about it, my wife and I and the family, we were eating Chinese takeout. And so our tier list is going to be the greatest things that you can order from Chinese takeout. That's like American Chinese takeout. We're not talking about the traditional Chinese. American Chinese takeout, best three things you can get. All that and more coming up from the Front Porch.
Big shits and small shits, and no shits like French shits. Woo!
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of From the Front Porch. I am your host, Joshua Walker. Thank you so much for tuning back in. With me, as per usual, is the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Big Calves himself, Alex Hartford. The biggest. How we doing, Mr. Biggest?
Doing pretty good. I just had a really good gym session. I'm ready to talk about some stuff.
A little back. Well, the shit we're about to get into, you're going to need some strong back muscles for this. But.
Okay, I'm ready for it.
All right, but first we're gonna get into sports first, and we're just gonna do a little bit of reminiscing. I was thinking about this earlier this week. I saw one little post about it, and then I just sort of expanded upon it. So I was thinking back to the days when we were probably 10 to 12, somewhere in there. So I'm just going by sport, but with the NBA, I'll start with the NBA. When NBA Street and NBA Street 2 were golden. And the NBA with Jason Kidd and Yao Ming and Shaq and Kobe and even Allen Iverson. That was the other one I had written down. It just seemed like such better ball, and I'm just so I just miss it. Because I used to watch it and now I have no interest at all in watching current basketball. And then when UFC was on Spike TV, and you could watch 1,000 Ways to Die or Deadliest Warrior, and then watch Anderson Silva or GSP or Chuck Liddell just good. And then of course NFL I'm ending it on, which was ESPN 2K5 was the best football game of all time, and then they made Blitz the League, which isn't NFL, but it was pure football goldenness. And then just the days of Peyton and Tom and Sean Alexander and LaDainian Tomlinson and Ed Reed and Brian Dawkins, and it was just Donovan McNabb. Dude, even the Donovan McNabb Eagles were such a good. I just miss them, and I have you seen that meme yet? That's I don't think he knows how much I miss him, and it's just pictures of old athletes.
No,
but I don't think Donovan McNabb and the 2005 Eagles know how much I miss them with Terrell Owens and Brian Dawkins and Brian Westbrook. And
it's funny that you said NBA Street. I'm a basketball guy myself, but I didn't play that. I loved playing NFL Street.
Dude, NFL Street was so good.
What was that running back from the Dolphins?
Ricky Williams. He
was my dude.
Yeah.
That.
Well, dude,
and stuff. Oh,
dude. And the soundtracks were top notch, so you just let the music play the whole time you're playing, dude. So good.
You know what else that makes me think about thinking about old times? I remember in my backyard growing up as a kid, we'd sit. I remember like me and my friend would for hours. He'd throw it up, hit it, and we'd try to get it so I could get the perfect catch diving into it. You know, doing
Hell
that,
yeah.
and we'd set up fences for like wiffle ball for the whole man. That stuff just doesn't happen anymore.
No, that's what I think I've said this on a different episode, but we had two basketball hoops. We had a normal sized driveway, but we had two basketball hoops in it. So we would play full court with like all the neighborhood kids, and dude, it was so much fun. And it, yeah, you could literally like 3-point line from one hoop to the other, but yeah, it was just so good.
A lot of the like sports today, and I was just talking about this like because I was watching a game last night. I got YouTube TV, good purchase.
Yeah,
but like after most of the time people hit a three like back in the day. You hit a three, straight back on defense.
yeah.
Every time, or if it's like crunch time, you celebrate, hit a little cold like celery, But yeah, it'll be friggin' they're up 46. They hit a three. Why? Come on, just freaking go back.
Well, and we're talking about pro sports, but I just saw an article the other day that there was an Alabama football player who transferred. I don't remember what school he transferred to, but it was smaller than Alabama. Made a bunch of NIL money and then transferred back to Alabama. And it's like that's what I'm talking about. Like it's just we're not even playing sports anymore. We're just trying to figure out how to get the most money, and it just feels dirty. I think is what the thing is. It just feels like slimy.
Even with the TV itself, it's like if you want to watch this game, you have to be on Peacock, and then if you want this game, YouTube. So it's like it's just money grab everywhere you go. Can't just get live TV and just watch it.
That's such a great point. Like it's literally everywhere you go. I mean, people have talked about the tip things and then all the streaming services. It's like everywhere you go, people are just like more and more and more and more. And like the average person these days doesn't have enough to go around, period. It just feels kind of gross. Yeah. But all right. Well, that was sort of my little tangent. I don't think there hasn't been any updates in the NFL since like big news of the first week of free agency. March Madness. When we missed that, we definitely didn't do. Who just got upset? I just saw somebody got upset last night. Kentucky? I think Kentucky got upset.
Some dude hit like 10 threes.
10 3, yeah, he had like 32 points. Like a little white guy too. Shout out. Yeah. White people. Hey. All right, basketball, NHL. I tried to like review the schedule and see what the records are and everything, and I don't have that much time. Rugby Six Nations is over, and we've already gone over my schedule. Nothing happened last weekend, so nothing's changing with that. NASCAR, like I said, Denny Hamlin won the last week, and that there's nothing. I don't have anything else. Like it's not like.
I know the NBA, Celtics still got the best record in the league. They're number one in the East. OKC, as young as they are, number one in the West. Like, they have a crazy record. I was looking at games because I went last year to a game for like 3 rows back. I went with me and my dad, $75 a ticket. I went to look at the same exact tickets this year because they're good, like $400 a piece.
It's amazing what a good record will do for ticket prices.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, because living around Jacksonville and like Cassie being a Jags fan and all that, like we would constantly look at Jags tickets, and it's like when they were really bad, it was like, oh, we could go to a Jags game, but now it's like no way. Well, I'd rather pay the $15 for whatever streaming service it's going to be on than
for real. Watch it on my own and don't have to pay $20 a beer.
Yeah, $20 for a case. All right, well that unfortunately didn't take nearly as long as I was hoping, because I want to get into this stuff because it's important, but some of these headlines and stuff from this week are just like, I don't want to.
Yeah, I'm excited because usually you tell me ahead of time, like, hey, we're going to talk about this thing, and I can kind of do some research on it. You left me in the dark right now.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So, do you remember last week I was talking about there was a Haitian illegal immigrant who raped a 15-year-old disabled girl?
Yes.
So the governor of New Hampshire, which I think is because of what's obviously where it was, came out and gave her statement about the incident. And she said, I have her quote here. Unfortunately, this is a terrible incident. This is also an individual who came in lawfully under the federal government through a federal program. Unfortunately, we have security and systems in place. We have vetting in place. It is unfortunate. From time to time, things will happen. And I'm just like, I don't understand how you can describe the like migrant rape of a 15-year-old disabled girl. It's like just like things happen. Like it's one of those. Well, and it's like these, because as a conservative, I sort of have accepted the fact that like they get to claim like they're the nice party and they care about people's feelings and all that kind of stuff. And we're like, but it's like that's the people who get to claim the moral high ground. That's how you describe like the rape of a 15-year-old girl. It's just like, oh, things happen. Yeah, and dude, it was. I just saw that today.
He was a legal immigrant.
Well, so I don't even think that's true, because I think what happened was he like illegally got in the country, and then there's like a federal program where the federal government's like flying people from the border to wherever they want to go. And I think he was a part of that program. So he legally, under federal like guidance, I guess, he got to New Hampshire, but he got here illegally.
Right. He got here initially.
Yeah. So they're just trying to, it's just word salad for no reason. But, all right. And then this is just sort of one of those missing headlines like I talked about last week. I just wanted to bring it up just because I know nobody else. Actually, I did have a point Cassie and I talked about. There was a 61-year-old man who was beat to death in a parking lot by 4 black youths in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. And obviously there's a lot of things to be said about it, but I was talking to Cassie about it. I was like, imagine you're 61 years old. So you were born in 1963. Yeah. So you were a very young kid in the 60s. Then you were like sort of a teenager in the 70s, and that was probably really cool. And then 20 in the 80s, that was probably like crazy. And 30 in the 90s, 40 in all that. Nah. So you've had this long, like great life where you've done a lot of things. You've probably seen a lot of things. 61 years old, I didn't see, but he probably has kids and grandkids and all that. And all of that is immediately ripped away from you because some guys decided to be violent one day and just beat you to death. And they like stomped his head into the concrete and stuff. And it's just, I don't know. And I know bad things have happened for everybody. It feels like in our country now, like these things are like every day. And it's just like, I don't know how you don't go around like in armor at this point. Like, it's just like, yeah, I don't, but it's like crazy.
It seems like something like that is happening every single day. Were they provoked, or they're just like?
From what I saw, they went to a club. Some of them were under 21, so they got denied, and so they like left pissed off, and then they got in a fight with this guy and beat him to death. And it was like, I don't understand how you could. Because again, we've talked about this before, but there are certain situations, whether it be like civil war, protecting my family, or whatever, where I would take somebody's life, but just like randomly, it's like I don't know how you could do that.
Yeah. Usually like gang initiation, like, hey, to get in this game, you need to catch a body or something.
Yeah.
It's just like you're the wrong person at the wrong time.
And your whole life is taken away now because you were in the wrong place at the wrong time. Like, it's crazy.
I don't know why this made me think of this, because it's not really on the same topic. But did you see the video, like the 2 little kids in basketball that they, there was like a foul called and they got into it a little bit, but one of the dads, I think he was like the coach, came over and he like separated them because there was like a little white kid. He didn't want to fight,
Yeah.
He like got pushed and he was like, what the heck is going on? So the coach came over and like grabbed the other kid, and just once he got him away from it, it's not like he was like aggressive with it. He just separated them and he let go. He didn't like do anything extra. And then like he's here, all you see is the dad come from the stands and boom, take the dude out. And it's just like, bro.
I just saw a video similar to that too, where this is girls basketball, and it's the same sort of thing where they're playing and they're like fouling each other, whatever, and the black girl pushes the white girl, and the white girl's like, what are you doing? We're not fighting, we're playing basketball. Yeah. And so then they take the coach takes the black girl away like while she's screaming, and then her mom comes down from the stands and gets in the white girl's little girl, like you're a grown ass woman, gets in the white girl's face while holding her newborn baby and is like, "That's right, bitch. We've been telling you all fucking game. You gonna learn today, bitch." Like, and it was just like, what are we doing? Like, dude, just the grossest
Well,
behavior, and that's
I feel like kids are not like usually like they don't have that mindset to be like, oh,
no.
something happens. It's like a direct reflection of the parents.
Parents, yeah. I mean, and that, yeah, it definitely is, and that's the sad thing, you know, because being conservative, we talk a lot about like the fatherlessness crisis and that kind of stuff. But like, we're not. I don't personally. I can't speak for everybody, but I don't personally ever talk about it like, oh, haha, this is why this happens. It's like I feel so terrible. Like I have 2 kids, and I don't know what I would do if like I wasn't there to teach them how to be. And actually, I have a great story about this because I'm trying to avoid this last story as much as possible. But I have a great story about this sort of subject. Is Jade went to the park yesterday with Cassie. I was at the gym, and another 3-year-old boy was there, or a boy around her age was there, and they started playing and doing the slides and stuff. And they would get static shock every time they went down the slide because that's just what happens. Well, they would come down and go, ow, and the little boy would go, oh, it's bees. It's bees. And so Jade came home, and all night long we had to correct her that she was not stung by bees. She was, it was just static, and like that's too far above you, but it's not bees. And so it was just, I was thinking about this, and like on a deeper level, like that's exactly how like education and like all these kids turn out the way they are, is they don't know anything. So as soon as they're shown something or told something, that's just what it is. And so like the girl in the story or the video is like, she has no idea what she's doing. She just knows her mom acts like that every time they go somewhere. So that's how she's going to act.
Mm-hmm. Yet somehow parents are afraid to like beat their kids now.
Dude, don't even get me started.
Business.
Dude,
and then you cry it out and you go to your room and I'm leaving.
I'm coming back.
And then it's cool after 10 minutes, you know.
Well, and my dad loves to tell the story that I did run away once, and I got to the end of my street with my baseball bat, and that was it. And I just sat down, and he pulled up, and I remember, I don't know if he remembers, but I remember he just pulls up and goes, "What, you gonna kill rabbits with that thing?" And then that just pissed me off more. I was like, well, then I'm definitely staying out here. Yeah. And he was like, "Are you gonna get in the truck?" And I was like, "No." And he's like, "Okay." And he pulled off and went home. And I eventually came home, and it was just like, yeah, you just are frustrated as like a little person. You just need to be told like, hey, you're fine, relax. Yeah. But all right, speaking of bad parenting, little disclaimer. I know it's kind of wild for the stuff we normally talk about, but a little disclaimer, especially for my wife, Cassie. Cassie, if you're watching this, the next like 10 minutes, you can just like skip forward. And anybody else who will feel some kind of way about this, but there's a story this week. There was a woman from Cleveland who took a vacation to Detroit and then to Puerto Rico. It was, like I said, a 10-day vacation, and she left her 16-month-old at home in a playpen the entire 10 days. And so the baby ended up obviously starving to death. When they found her, she was covered in her own pee and poop and just filth and everything. And then there's been doorbell camera footage from the neighbors where you can just hear her screaming and screaming and screaming and screaming, which that's a part of the story that doesn't get talked about enough, because if your doorbell camera is catching it, that means like you can see it from. Why did nobody just kick the fucking door down? Like after about an hour of a baby just screaming, that's when you just get involved. Like but anyway, she took a vacation to Puerto Rico. There's pictures of her like on the beach taking selfies and stuff,
not
and
a worry in the world.
Not a worry in the world. She left. Well, you know why she wasn't worried is she left 4 bottles of milk for the 16-month-old in the playpen, as if this 16-month-old is going to like grab bottles and eat themselves, and that 4 bottles is enough for 10 days. And she said she just had her sentencing on Monday or something. She got life in prison, but we've talked about pedophiles and stuff on here, but if there is any clear case for the death penalty, you letting your 16-month-old daughter die in probably the worst way possible, screaming out for you and not knowing where you are and not knowing why they're suffering so much, they have no, and you left them like that to go vacation. I've said this before with the pedophiles, but I will sign up for that fucking firing squad tomorrow. It makes me so fucking angry that we're at a point where like, and again, because that's the point of the story. I know there were awful parents in the past who killed their kids or whatever, but our society now, nobody got involved. There were people who knew that the kid was screaming and knew all, and it's like nobody got involved. She went on vacation. I assume while she's posting pictures and stuff, her family weren't like, "Hey, yo, where's your kid at?" Like, if I was posting pictures from Florida next week and Jade or Joshua was in none of them, there were people start be like, "Hey, where are your kids at?" And no, but because nobody wants to hold anybody accountable. This poor 16-month-old little angel. I mean, I can't imagine what that death must be like, specifically for a 16-month-old baby who doesn't have any idea what's going on. And I saw that like, not abandonment, maybe it was abandonment issues or like the want to be attached is like strongest from like 9 to 18 months or something like that. And so she was just screaming and screaming and screaming out for her mommy, who was literally just letting her die. And I'm just like, okay, just kill her. Just put her down. I don't know why she got life in prison. Like, this is the point where we just like, and I said, firing squad, just put the needle in her arm, put her to sleep forever. Nobody has to deal with her anymore. And I just, yeah, it was
How
just
did
the
she
worst
have,
story.
like, nobody? Like, she didn't even try.
No, like nobody to
Some
watch her, nobody to,
random person came up to my door right now and was like, "Hey, this is gonna sound crazy, but I'm going on vacation for 10 days and I have nobody to watch my kid." I would take the kid in.
well,
Like,
and
yeah, that's weird. I have a lot of questions, but I would do it. You don't just
yeah,
like. She didn't even try.
no. And
That's so messed up. That makes my ears. Are my ears red? That makes me
yeah,
mad.
dude. And that's what Cassie said was like, the fire station will take them, no questions asked. Churches will take them, no questions asked. Like, I know in her head, she probably didn't want to give her up forever, but okay, if the choices are let her die starving to death or give her up to the fire department, just give her up, dude. Just, or like you said, and like you said, that's what Cassie said for us too. We'll take her. We will love her forever. But if your choices let her die or give her to us, just give her to us. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand.
Clearly, it's somebody with like no education or like very low IQ, but it also like it makes you wonder. They're probably in like poverty at some point. If somebody can hear your baby crying,
Yeah.
so it's clearly like close knit. How is she going on vacation? Like it's nothing. And oh yeah, here's 10 days worth of food, 4 bottles, 4 bottles, no
Like,
water.
dude, that's no water. Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, the like mental gymnastics of everything she just, there was so many points where she made stupid fucking decisions, and she made every single stupid fucking decision, and it's
And
just
like,
like
was she alone? She was with people.
on the vacation. I don't honestly know. The picture I saw of her was by herself, but I don't know if she took it.
Oh, I
But like,
doubt she went on vacation by herself, but the people with her weren't like, "Oh yeah, what did you do? Who's watching your kid?"
oh, I left her at the
Yeah,
house.
I just left her.
They
What
think she's
the
like
hell?
joking, and
Yeah,
she's like, no, I'm dead serious. But
that's
yeah,
terrible.
it, yeah. I mean, there's a reason I was not want to talk about, but it's one of those things where there are so many different like factors here that are insane to me. It's like she we have a society of people who just don't know how to function as adults, and like she felt no problem with going on vacation while her daughter starved. We have a problem of people not wanting to like judge or anything, so they don't go check on a screaming crying baby for I mean,
Yeah, it's hard for me to blame those people
I, I
because
I don't know,
you
because
don't.
I know you, and I know you would, if your neighbor's baby was just screaming for like 16 hours straight, you would probably go
I'd be like, "Hey,
investigate at some
what the
point.
hell's going on over here?"
Yeah,
At
but
least, at the minimum, like they that's hard. That's hard to be in their shoes, though. But they probably feel a lot of guilt.
and I hate to say it, but I hope they do, because like it it's not their fault because they didn't do anything. They didn't ask to be put in the situation. But you are now put in the situation. You have to do something about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
I mean, if I broke down a door, whatever, and I was in the wrong, I'll just pay for a new door. But
that's what I'm saying. Like, and you knock and knock and knock, and nobody answers, and nobody comes. Then you kick down the
that's the
door.
thing. If you knock a bunch and nobody's answering, that's definitely a sign for
Yeah,
something.
and yeah, I just it was one of those stories that I was just like, I can't even believe that.
You know what's
It's
crazy about that? That person's able to vote.
that was one of my other fucking another symptom is it's like we've talked about this before, and again, I don't know the system to replace everybody gets to vote, but there's no way this, and I don't care. I assume she's like she was like half black, half Puerto Rican or whatever. I assume she's not conservative, but even if she is, if that takes away a Republican vote, I don't care. Take her fucking vote away. Like, I don't.
I feel like there needs to be not like a minimum IQ because people are like bad test takers, but like there's the test to become a United States citizen. You should at least have to be able to pass that or something. Like
And
just
especially
basic knowledge about the United States or the judicial system or just something to where
if you think
you
about,
can prove you can think.
yeah, I mean that's why the IQ test is like a good option because it really just tests if your ability to like critically think about things. But like you said, and there are people who are critical of it. But even if you think about the citizenship test, like okay, you take it when you're 18 to vote for the first time. Then every time you take it from then, it should get easier. So you shouldn't be that concerned about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't understand. I don't know what we're doing, and that's why I think the landowner thing is such a good idea because it's like you have to make some sort of decision making enough to get enough money to buy a house to be a landowner. So like,
Yeah, sure.
but
Or something
all
at
right,
least like something where it's like you've paid bills, you've paid taxes, you're not just
yeah,
like collecting unemployment. It's something where I don't know, it's really bad because like my great grandmother, she's 89, super old school, like loves America. She goes and works the polls in Arkansas, not
yep,
the voting
yeah,
polls, you know? Oh,
POLLS.
you seem accurate. I don't know. But she works the voting polls and like it's to the point where she's like sometimes I don't know if she really wants it because she does not like the direction that the country as a whole is going
Yeah.
to. Like if my 89-year-old grandmother can see that, great grandmother can see that, then we need to make a change.
Well, and what's funny is basically everybody sees it. I think the poll on like do you approve of how the way the country is going? I think is at like 23% or something. Like we all see it.
Who's that 20 a
Well,
quarter of people are like, yeah, it's cool.
dude, have you? I know, and I want to take this minute to shout out my week off that I'm taking. We're all taking next week from the front porch for Easter, because I got to delete Twitter now for the next week, which is great. But dude, the amount of people on Twitter who are like, "Dude, Biden's America is so great, and the economy is so great, and our state in the world is so great," and basically, I mean, we talked about this last week, but basically, his State of the Union, they believe it. They're like, "Oh yeah, we're in such a great spot," and that's. Dude, and it's all it is. It's literally just propaganda. Like that's why the NPC meme became so like hated because it's so accurate. Is they just like hear things and they go, okay, repeat, beep boop, beep boop, and then they just. But yeah, it's. I don't know who could say that. I don't genuinely know who could honestly, like with a good conscience, go, yeah, I'm stoked for the way this country's heading right now.
I really do think. Doesn't Biden have like the worst approval rating of ever?
At least in
he
like
gets reelected,
60 years.
something is gonna happen. There's gonna be
Yeah. I think that would certainly be a moment for stuff to pop off. So sort of connecting the tooth to the next topic. There, a lot of in the news this week have been about squatters, and so there was a woman in New York who was arrested because she tried to remove a squatter from her house. And so there's a video where, and I was talking to Cassie about how demoralizing this whole video is, but the cops are making her hand the keys to the squatter and then putting handcuffs on her and taking her out while the squatter gets to go back into the house. And it's just like, so I've seen videos of people like basically going in and forcing them out. I've seen videos of people, what was the, oh, they basically learn the squatter law and then they squat in on the squatters and then demand the squatters move. And it's like, why do we even have to do this? Why, like,
Squatter, how are they not just kicked out immediately? How is there squatter rights? Rights to what? You literally trespass it? Like, imagine you you want to go on a hike for 2 months across the country or something. You come back and someone is like, no, this is my stuff now. Like, no, get out of here.
well, and that's what Cassie was like talking about the cops and stuff. And I was like, I'm not calling the cops. You're in my house. Like, this is where force gets brought out. Like, I just, and that was my point. Is there, again, another horrible story. There was a woman. What is her name? I'm not gonna mess it up, but the last name is Vittel. But she was found in a duffel bag in a dumpster because her mother, from what I saw, her mother passed away, and she went to the house to like clean it out and whatever, and there were squatters in there, and they killed her and put her in a duffel bag, and that's where it's like, yeah, this is not the time for like, oh, going in and, oh, we're gonna play a game where I squat in on you squatting, and then we're gonna let the courts. No, there's something's gonna pop something off, and that was sort of the connection. Is like, there are so, actually one more story, and then we'll connect it all. There was a viral video where a, like, I don't know, Indian, Pakistani, something like that guy was on a plane talking about blue-eyed devils and white people are the devil, and he just wants to go back to his home country, and we won't let him, and all this kind of stuff. So then he goes to get kicked off the plane. There's a big buff white gentleman who stands like basically right on the other side of his aisle so he can get out. And the guy sort of gets in his face. The white guy goes, "Get out of my face." The problem guy gets back in his face. They sort of push for a minute. And so then the big guy just grabs him around the neck and puts him in a chokehold and is basically like screaming orders at him at this point, like, "Put your hands down and get the fuck off the plane. Put your hand." And this woman comes over in like a tank top and is like, "Sir, I'm a police officer, please." Like, and he's like, I am too. I don't give a shit." And he's like holding him. And then my favorite part of the video is he's like carrying him down the aisle, and another big buff guy comes and grabs the guy by the back of the neck, and they just carry him out together. And so connecting all these things, it's like people are just going to start taking things into their own hands. And I don't know what would trigger a massive conversation, but, you know, I've seen some ranchers who live on the border who have wanted them to stop letting illegals on their land. So if they took a bunch out, would that start something? If somebody took out a bunch of squatters in their house, would that start something? But basically we're getting to a point where people don't trust the system to protect them. So they're just going to start protecting themselves. And then that's what could start some shit popping off. And then especially to your point, if there's like all of these moments before the election that like people are sick of stuff and sick of stuff and sick of stuff, and then Biden wins again, I don't know.
I've seen videos of people, instead of like, because you would think the squatters on the inside would kind of like board stuff up.
Mm-hmm.
The owners, when they get there and see that, they'll like board it up so they can't get out of there until they have to like break a window and get out. And at that point, they're like out of the house, you know?
Hell yeah.
Like, yeah. I don't understand how you can own something, but because it's vacant for an extent, what if it's like an investment property or something like that, and then they're like, how did somebody pass a law that squatters have rights to? No.
Well, and they try to like cover it up by, what we're trying to protect is the person who, like, their landlord comes one day and goes, "You have to get out of here." And it's like, okay, then make laws against that. But I think there's much more likelihood that squatters are going to take advantage of the law than the amount of landlords who are just like, "Oh, hey, I'm kicking you out tomorrow for no reason."
Yeah. There's a difference between like an eviction and somebody just coming into your property.
And I understand it's a hard situation, but if a landlord comes and wrongfully evicts you, you can get all kinds of settlements for that. You can take it to court, whatever. But if you go back to your house and there are like vagrants living in there, you could end up in a duffel bag like we're seeing. So like I think it's one of those moments where like, and it's, you know, it's New York, Washington, all the normal states that you would assume, and it's like it's again another moment of Democrats doing a calculation and deciding exactly the wrong outcome.
Yeah, that's so frustrating.
Well, my last political headline, we're gonna do a little levity. We're gonna have a little fun, I guess, with this one. But again, being on Twitter, unfortunately, this week there was some discourse on Twitter where, and I'm not making this up. Anybody wants to check me on it, I'll provide you the receipts for it. But there was an entire subsection of Democrats who were basically advocating for DoorDash. I don't know why we're having this conversation. I don't think DoorDash is any trouble of going into business, but they were advocating for DoorDash because, and the debate was against frozen food versus DoorDash, and they were all crying that DoorDash saves their life because they don't have the mental fortitude and they don't have the strength and the energy or whatever to cook for themselves. So if there was nobody to just bring them already prepared food, they would starve to death and die. And I'm just like, you know, it's one of those moments where
Out of business?
no, again, I think somebody was just talking. I think the original post was a article or something talking about how frozen food is much cheaper and much better for like a young person trying to save money and all that. And all these Gen Zers were like, yeah, well, I have anxiety and depression and all this stuff that stops me from being able to put pizza rolls in the oven or whatever. And hold on, I just want to. Do I have it screenshotted? But just sit right
That's
here.
just laziness. You can get groceries delivered right to you. It's not.
Well, it's funny you talk about groceries because that's what I have delivered. I'm just going to read this out and then we can talk about it. Somebody said, grocery shopping, it's a waste of time. The pittance of money saved isn't worth the time, stress, or effort. Imagine eating the same thing for 4 days straight to save $15 and then spending that much on 2 beers when you go out on Friday. And somebody said, can you elaborate on the stress component of purchasing BLT ingredients than owning leftover BLT ingredients? And they said, yeah, it's some additional bullshit I have to think about. Oh, I better remember to eat another BLT tomorrow or else those ingredients I bought will go to waste. Wow, what fun times. Boys, we're at a point where people are, it's too much to plan meals out for the week. And I don't know. This is back to our point about, like, I don't know where we're at or anything. I don't know where we go from here. I don't know what's going to happen when these 18 to 21 year old, whatever idiots are 40 years old and they're all in charge of running the electrical grid and running the plumbing system and running like, and I don't know. I don't know, but it's very scary. There's two ends of the spectrum. It's very scary. And also, I tell Cassie all the time, my God, our kids are going to eat these kids' fucking lunch when they're older. They're going to absolutely, like, if kids these days are exactly the same way as Gen Zers are right now, then those kids are fucked when it comes to my kids. Because, like, we just bought Jade her first punching bag. It'll be here in a couple of days, but we just bought her first little kid punching bag. And, hey, boys, you want to go up and talk to my daughter? She's going to beat the shit out of you. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
That's crazy.
But
I meal prep. I've meal prepped for years. It is not that hard, and it only takes. I spend maybe $70-$80 a week for all of my food, and it takes me like an hour. It takes me like an hour to have my whole entire week done. People are just that person. I want to know what they do for work.
I don't even know if they do. Like that's and it's probably like when you go to Starbucks and you see that barista, it's probably her. It's probably like every time you go in public and you see somebody working like behind a counter and you're like, oh, I don't want to, I'm good. It's probably them. But it's like, I was thinking about so I know this is a random little tangent, but I was watching Meet the Fockers last night. And so it's, I don't know if I assume you've seen it, but it's like a normal movie where these like normal people, the main characters, they go to like the airport and they constantly interact with normal people. Then they go to meet their parents, meet Greg Focker's parents. And they're eccentric, and their version of eccentric is he's like a little nice and she's a sex therapist who in the movie makes fun of Robert De Niro's character for having a boob on a man, which I was like, she's like the hippy dippy, like lefty, where they try to make seem kooky crazy, and even she's like, oh, a boob on a man, that's disgusting. And it's like, I don't know how we got so far away from normality. And it was kind of to your point of like how you were like, I prep every week. I don't know what's so damn difficult. And it's like, I don't know how adults like us were made. It's just like something you do. You just cook, you just get groceries, you
Well, it's
cook, you
literally
do
just
it.
laziness. It's like people sit there, well, yeah, getting food to you is way easier. $70 for me to eat out, 4 meals,
Yeah.
three meals. Like I eat 6 times a day, and I get all that. It's just laziness and it's just incompetence. If I have a little bit extra of something, throw it out. Who really,
Well, and
give it to the
that's
dog.
what somebody else replied to that post, and it's like they saw having 4 days or whatever worth of BLT ingredients as having 4 days of having to eat BLTs, and it's like you you can do other things with bacon, tomatoes, and lettuce, right? And they were like, okay, so now I got to decide on 4 other meals to have, and it's like, are you
The
are you
pressure.
are you okay? Are you all right? Like I again, we had I don't know thousands and thousands of years of human evolutions where like kids were kids, then they grew up, then they acted like adults, and it's like even millennials. We gave millennials, I think we're considered millennials, but we get people gave millennials a lot of shit for like being man babies and stuff. But at least millennials can like buy groceries and cook, and now we're getting to a point where it's like they can't even do Gen Z can't even do that. Like I, it's wild to me. It is.
Well, I was trying to think like makes me think my parents didn't never really taught me to cook.
No.
I've had to learn everything on my own, and I do fine. I'm not like the best cook or anything, but if I can follow a recipe easy. But if
Yeah.
nobody taught me, I don't have kids, but like if so for somebody who has kids, if nobody taught them, what are they teaching their kid? You know,
Well, and
teaching them to get pizza rolls.
but for me, having kids, my dad always said this, so this is not like a jab at him or anything, but what you do as a parent is you take what your parents did and then you do better. So you fix all the things that you didn't like that they did, and then you do better. And it's like, and I get in these kind of arguments all the time online, but these parents now who are like, oh, my dad like was so mean to me, and or my mom did this to me or whatever, and it's like, so now for my kids I let them do whatever they want, I let them eat whatever they want, and it's like, this is what you're raising though, is these kids who physically can't take care of themselves because they have no idea that feeling that little tinge of stress of like, okay, what am I going to eat this week,
Hmm.
is normal. They think it's like end of the world type shit.
Well, it
um
makes me think like, yeah, I'll go into like my dad was hard on me. And when he was hard on me, you learn to not do what made him mad.
yeah.
And then you don't talk back or anything, but then I have, brothers that when they were younger, oh, he was the worst ever. It's like, no, it wasn't even like that. It's the age, and
Well,
people are, and it's not like there's like 15 years in between us, 3 or 4 years, or 4 years for one and 7 for the other, but it's just completely different mindsets.
yeah. And that's, you have to, I really think you have to pound it into them, every single one of them. And that's to your point too. Like, yeah, I remember my brother, who's older than me, but I remember my brother was always yelling at my dad and like, oh, when I have kids, I'm going to let them smoke weed and do whatever they want. And now he's a heroin addict. And I was like, that's really stupid. And now I have like a successful life and family and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, you have to ingrain that mindset into young people or they're fucked. And that this mindset of just let kids do whatever they want, it's not leading to great things, guys. We're not looking good here.
There's no value once they get older.
No, and yeah, it's reading some of these things, it's one of those moments where you're like, okay, maybe this one person is just like a cuckoo cuckoo, and then there are hundreds of people who agree with these people. Like,
Hmm.
it's, and again, I've talked to Cassie about this. I understand that every time I go on Twitter and something has 400 likes or something, 400 people is like nobody in the grand scheme of a country. But it does sort of, it's scary that even 400 people saw this and agreed with it. Like,
Hmm.
it's nuts. It's wild. But all right, now that politics are out of the way, we can finally move on to attitude, and then we'll get to good things and gratitude. So, you want to go with your attitude, my brother in Christ?
Yeah, sure. I'll go first. So, and this happened the last time you and I think we went to, was it SeaWorld we went to? Or we pull up, and even to get in, like, you don't know this until you get to the place. They're like, oh yeah, today is the first day.
Cash
No
only.
cash.
Or no cash,
No
no cash, no
cash.
cash.
And it was like, okay, yeah, they give you like signs before, but there's 400 cars behind you, whip it. Oh, no cash. I got no cash on me. It's like, dude, and there's people that don't have bank accounts
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. Like, what do you want? I guess, yeah, they had cap. It doesn't matter. Everything that they had, you had to be in before you
Yeah.
could transfer cash into like this weird prepaid card and all that stuff, and then they got to take their chunk of it. Man,
Yeah.
I don't know. That made me so. I did
Dude.
not like that at all.
And it's one of those things where, you can always go down the rabbit hole of why we're moving like this. And it's like every time a place does that, it makes me want to pull more money out of my bank account and stick it under my mattress. It's like, if you don't want me to have this, that makes me feel like I should have it. And yeah, it's just a little cuckoo, but all right. Well, my attitude this week was sort of along the lines of what we're just talking about, but my attitude this week is people who disparage our like grandparents and great grandparents, or like you were talking about with your great grandma. Like, they look back and they go, "Oh my God, can you believe all those old crazy people who were like, oh, your music is trash and it's going to get like demonic and dirty and everything, and the movies are getting really gross." And like, oh, when people in like the 80s and 90s were like, "Oh, Disney is putting like sexual messages for kids," and everybody's like, "Okay, grandma, like calm down." And now like you look at where we're at and like the music we have, and Sam Smith dressing like the devil on stage, and Disney having whole movies about girls getting their panda and then selling pictures to buy concert tickets. And it's like, yeah, so Turning Red was like a Disney movie that sort of, no, I don't think really many people saw, but the whole concept is she gets her panda, like she gets her period, but the symbolism they use is she turns into a panda, a red panda.
Oh, yeah,
And
I remember seeing the previews for that.
yeah, and so in the movie, as soon as she gets her panda, she immediately goes in the bathroom, starts taking pictures of herself as a panda and selling them to, like, buy concert tickets. And I was like, how? That's pretty on the nose of like, oh, she gets her period and then she starts selling pictures for money. And it's like, oh, okay, Disney, like you're
That's
fucking,
disgusting.
yeah. And then there's all this stuff with Nickelodeon. I don't know if you saw the documentary that came out, but all about Nickelodeon's like sexual depravity during like Drake Bell's era and Amanda Bynes and all that. And I'm not going to get into all that, but my attitude is just that people look back and are still like, oh my God, can you believe our crazy grandparents who were like saying that our music is going to get gross and bad and all that stuff. And now you look around, you're like, they were 100% correct. Like, what are you talking about?
Well, they probably thought the same thing about, the generation before and all that stuff. Because even when, I don't know, when I hear some of like the old rock music, I'm like, you're literally just saying cocaine over
Yeah.
and over. That's
Yeah.
your whole song, and you're like, my music's bad. Except, I mean, it kind of goes both ways. But yeah, they were right. They were right.
Yeah. They were running. Well, and yeah, I mean, that's the grandmothers of the time, of like the time I'm thinking of, they saw like Pour Some Sugar on Me by Def Leppard. And they were like, this is how bad it is now. Imagine how bad it's going to be in the future. And everybody went, grandma, shut up. And now we have like, what's the fart song? I don't remember. Fucking Sexy Red or Ice Spice or whatever. She's rapping about her booty hole farts and stuff. Like, what? Like, it's just like, okay, grandma was right.
You should do that dance.
I don't
Ice
even know what
Spice
that means,
dance.
but I don't know what that means.
Look it up.
I'll look it up. Maybe
Maybe
another
snap
episode.
that over there.
All right. I'll dance for you, baby. Don't worry about it. All right, brother. What are you grateful for?
Okay, so when I was thinking about this, I had a lot of them, and all of them revolved around food because I'm a
Hell
day
yeah.
away from my cheat meal, so I can tell I'm craving stuff bad. But something I did not like growing up that I love now is just warm with some butter on some banana bread, dude. Banana bread with nuts.
That's
heated
your
up.
favorite thing. What do you mean you didn't used to like that?
I didn't. I did not.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know
not
that.
like it really growing up. Now, if I see a loaf, it's mine. I'm not splitting it.
That was your birthday cake last year.
Yeah, it was. See, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. But I didn't
Yeah.
like that before.
Damn.
I did not like that. So yeah,
That's
banana.
yeah. It's not necessarily that I didn't like it, but I didn't appreciate it for what it was. But now, like, I've been craving beef stroganoff for the last like 4 weeks, and it's like, man, I know my mom and dad would make it right now, and it's like
Even
I
if
want
it's from like the hamburger helper version, like I
if mom and dad make it, it doesn't matter.
yeah.
All right. Well, my gratitude is sort of, I guess, large, but I'm grateful for world building fantasy. And I know that, again, that's like a broad, but like Star Wars or Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter, like it's not just like reading a story and there's like, the story is what the story is. And maybe there's a deeper meaning to it, or maybe there's not, but these are entire like worlds that you can like escape to, and they have their own languages and their own geopolitical conflicts and all. And it's such a crazy thing. I was I was listening to like a Lord of the Rings ambiance before we got on here, just like typing up my stuff. And I was like the fact that I know exactly what this music is referencing and I can see it all from the world building they did in the movies and stuff. It's just absolutely insane. And same thing with Star Wars. Like you hear a song and you know exactly what planet it's supposed to be like representing. It's just like crazy.
It's crazy that people thought of every single
Yes.
little aspect to that, and that's like mind blowing. And even with the Star Wars, like they made I don't remember the numbers, but they made like 3 and 4, all the later ones first because they knew they were way too far ahead of their time to make what they wanted. Like to even think about that in
Yeah.
that time, it's crazy.
And even like Dune 2 just came out, and I had seen Dune 1 a bunch, but the other day Cassie and I watched it again, and I took my little notepad and I wrote down every name and like where they're connected to and everything, because the first couple times watching it I'm like, these names, dude, I have no idea where we're at. So I wrote them down and like connected them, so now it all makes sense. But I'm so excited to see Dune 2. I haven't been able to hit the theater yet because the kids and everything, but again, that's another one where it's like I said, they've created such a giant world that I have to like write it down to remember everything that's like being tracked through there. And it's just like you said, I like to think of myself as an imaginative person. I played like imaginary outside by myself, probably way too old, but like I don't know how you could do that. I don't know. Or even like J.K. Rowling created the whole Harry Potter world, and so she created like, and I mean, same thing with Star Wars and everything we just named, but they created their own species of animals and their own like foods, and it's just wild.
Well, it's even with like video games, you can dive so
Mm-hmm.
far into like video games because it's like you're in a whole nother world, and then
Yeah.
you have to like take a step back and be like, somebody thought of this. Like I can think
Yeah.
of like basic stories, like a mom and a dad, and they grew up here, but they're like, their ancestors in their minds, and this is why this person doesn't like this. It is insane. That's a good one. That
Yeah.
really, you have to think about that kind of stuff. It's
Yeah.
mind blowing, really.
So I'm very grateful for the greatest like authors of our time. So, all right. Well, I'm going to spring this on you, so I'm sorry for it. But with Easter being next week, our Lord and Savior was resurrected. So give me, off the top of your head, 2 seconds. What else are you grateful for?
Off the top of my head, I mean, it kind of is what you're like, people being able to make stuff up like that all the time. Somebody made the internet.
Yeah.
Ones and zeros.
Yeah.
They just were like, let's make this light beam go through a little wire, and it's gonna show up like that. That is crazy.
And we both work in it.
Yeah, when I'm learning about it and like studying, and because I'm trying to finish my master's in cybersecurity, and when people start, I'm like, holy, how did they think of this?
And from like World War II, like punch cards, and they were like, "Oh, I know how to turn that into the internet." And it's like, what? How did you do that? Like, I know. I think most people have like their special thing. So I think like if you can't make the internet, you could probably make the best flavor of soda or something. So I think like everybody has their thing. But yeah, I'm very glad like you that these people knew what their thing was and they did it.
It's you give
Yeah,
me
so I'm grateful. You know, I've said my family on here a bunch. I'll abstain for 1 week of saying them, but and not just to like toot your horn, but you and Nash and just like the brothers I have that are like not family but family. I just, I was, I no shame on or no shade on anybody, but like hanging out with my rugby team, they're great guys and I respect them so much, and the people I work with, I respect so much. But having like the brotherhood with you and Nash is like another level of like respect and love and all those kind of things that like I don't think enough people get, and I don't think enough people have these days. So I'm very grateful for you and the boys.
that's a good one. It's hard, I feel like a lot of people just want to have like a lot of friends and stuff, but my dad always told me, he even told me when I was little, he said, "You don't worry about that stuff. When you get out of high school, you're gonna talk to 2 or 3 friends consistently for the rest of your life. And you need to find those people," and I'm happy to say that I did find those people, and it helps out with life a lot and being able to reach out to somebody, so that's great. I'm going to kind of piggyback off of that.
Okay.
Off of yours. I'm grateful for those friends that you don't need to talk to every day, but the second you do there's never like, "Man, you haven't called me and still," it's like,
Yeah.
dude, this has been going on, like there's no, it doesn't skip a beat.
Yeah, for sure. And for a little background information, I guess, for everybody, like that was us for like 3 years or something. Like we barely talked, but every time we did talk, it was like instantly right back into how it was. So fortunately, due to some unfortunate circumstances, fortunately we were able to, now we talk every fucking day, 12 hours a day. So, which I'm very thankful for, but yeah, it was nice that nothing changed at all. It was just like, okay, we haven't talked for 6 months. That conversation from 6 months ago is getting picked right back up right here. So,
Yep.
yeah,
The love
for
is
sure.
always there.
I love you, man. All right. All right. So we're gonna move on to our tier list, and as I explained in the intro, I wanted a little bit lighter tier list this week because I knew some of the topics we were going to be getting into. So while I was thinking about what's a light tier list we can get into, Cassie and the kids and I were eating Chinese takeout. So we're going to go tier list for best Chinese takeout items. You want to go ahead and start?
About food, 'cause
What are you ordering tomorrow?
I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I might start off you know what I need? I might start off tomorrow with some cereal. I haven't had cereal in a
Dude.
while. That'll be good.
That's so funny you say that, because I was craving some like cheat day cereal too, and I got Life, like Cinnamon Life, and got like the
I got the
fattest bowl of
same.
it.
I got it in the cabinet ready.
Hell yeah.
Cinnamon.
Hell yeah.
When you go to Walmart, it's always like the unhealthiest to the healthiest.
Yeah.
And like cinnamon's on the good side too. So you don't feel that bad about it.
It shouldn't be, but it is.
It's crap for sure, but that's fine.
But I just got like the fattest bowl I could possibly find, and dude, it's so good. But yeah, so tier 3, brother. What's your tier 3 Chinese takeout food?
All 3 of mine are very basic, but oh man, it makes me think about growing up in Maine. There was this place called Ruby Foods, I forget, Ruby Foods, but it was just the best Chinese food I've ever had. Now, when my mom or dad would come home with that, I'm gaining 10 pounds. But my number 3, because you gotta have rice with everything. When you get Chinese food, you gotta get rice. But I am a big fan of shrimp fried rice.
You tell me shrimp fried that rice?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're out there freaking cooking it up in the bag.
That's solid. I think you could have done a little
That's
bit
number
more,
3.
but you're right.
Okay.
I guess in my tier 3, I don't think it's much better, but for tier 3, I had to put all like the sides, so egg rolls, crab rangoon, the little sugar donuts. My tier 3 is everything you get like with your Chinese food ordered, dude. I don't know what they do, because I've made homemade egg rolls and they don't taste like the Chinese takeout pork egg rolls, dude, are like one of the greatest things on the planet.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And it's always made by some it's always made by some 5-year-old in the kitchen probably.
Yeah.
in the
Dude,
vacuum.
when Cassie gave birth and we were in the hospital and eating and everything, um, we got Chinese takeout one day, and it was like an 8-year-old girl at the counter, like working and stuff, and I was like, "Hello, I'm here to pick up an order," and she was just like, "Okay, what's your name?" And I was like, "Who's this little 8-year-old like business all
Yeah.
star killing her?" But yeah, so anyway, my tier three, pork egg roll,
Mm.
uh, crab rangoon, sugar donuts, all everything you
I
get
wanted to
with
put
your.
crab ragoon on there for my number three, but I can only eat like one or two of them before I'm like, yeah, you know,
I'd eat the whole
even
damn
that.
box by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Actually, I'll tell a little sentimental story. Cassie loves it too. But my dad and we ordered Chinese a decent amount when I was younger, and so my dad and I would always go, but just he and I to go get it. And the place we went to would give us free crab rangoon, like with our meal, because we would order so much. And so on the way, we'd go. He and I go get it. We'd get in the car, and on the way home, he and I would both get one crab rangoon and eat it in the car on the way home, before we had to offer everything up to the whole family. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
a little top tier memory right there. So what's your tier two, brother?
Tier two, I'm gonna go with spare ribs. And the redder they are,
Mm.
the better.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
love spare ribs. Oh
On the
man.
stick, like on the stick.
No, just like the little,
Oh.
they're like chopped up and they're in their little freaking takeout thing.
I don't know if I've ever had those. I've only had the ones on the stick.
Oh man, I'll send you a picture of them, but yeah,
All right,
they're
but
just
so good, dude. I mean, Chinese spare ribs. I think they're probably similar, but yeah, the char siu pork or whatever, where it's like with a red tint to it. Oh my gosh,
yeah,
dude,
that's the one.
so
That's
good.
the one.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
where I ordered it when I was growing up, they always called it spare ribs.
yeah. It's all the same. It's just different based on where you're going, but yeah, dude, so good. Oh my gosh, yeah, no disagreement on that one. I don't have anything like your shrimp or frying rice, but all right, my tier two is tier two because it's just old reliable. It's what I got while we were doing this. While I was thinking this list. It's old reliable. It's decently healthy, so it's like I don't feel as bad about it. But tier two, beef and broccoli, just solid protein, good broccoli, solid meal. And like you said, you always get rice with it. And so with white rice, beef and broccoli, and then you get that sauce in the rice.
Mm.
So good.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say I completely disagree with you on this one. I
Oh no!
hate beef and broccoli.
How do you
I
what
love
like?
beef. Love beef, love broccoli, hate it put together. My dad,
What the?
my dad always got beef broccoli because he knew no one else would eat it. I
Wow, that's so weird.
get
What
that
the
junk
hell?
out of here, bro.
Dude, don't even start with me.
God, disgusting.
That's why I don't understand. If you like beef and broccoli, I don't understand how you don't
I
like
don't
beef and
know.
broccoli.
Put them together, hate it. Worst meal ever made.
Maybe we got to get you a different one than the one you grew up with. We'll get you try some
Yeah,
beef and
maybe. I don't
broccoli.
know. I've tried another one here and it was terrible.
Oh shit. Okay, well you're wrong, and that's all right.
Okay. Yeah, you're
Well,
right.
what's the tier one, brother? Mm-hmm.
I can taste it already. On the stick, beef teriyaki stick. Oh, come
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
on. I'm getting Chinese tomorrow.
Hell
I
yeah.
don't even think they have Chinese here.
I thought you just said you ordered from a place there.
No, it's not Chinese. It's whack, bro. This place sucks.
It's like Panda Express.
Panda Express is good, but
Yeah.
no, we got nothing.
Dang, dude, you got to come out. Got to come take a trip out. We'll have some Chinese.
Fly just for some beef teriyaki sticks.
Hell yeah. I mean, I'm going to Florida Sunday. You want to?
Okay, we'll see.
All right, but
You guys number one.
tier one, like you, dude. I could, just crunchy goodness. Number tier one. It's the best Chinese food. I don't even care if anybody has General Tso's chicken. Tier one, best Chinese food. So good. A little spicy, a little fried, a little saucy. Oh my god, dude.
That
And
one
then
I can go
with beef and broccoli with white rice. But if you're getting General Tso's chicken, you already don't care about like healthy. So you're getting General Tso's and fried rice, like pork fried rice underneath it. Oh my god, dude. Tier one,
good.
General Tso's chicken, dude. I'm so irritated we didn't get it today too. But it is what it is, I guess.
I'm surprised none of us had orange chicken on there.
It was close. It was real close. But I was like, General Tso's orange. relatively close, I guess. But
I had one from a place, I think it was in Arkansas, that had like orange peels with it.
yep,
Like,
that's how I always grew up with it
so
too.
good.
Yeah.
So good.
Because as a kid, my oldest brother used to eat the orange peels, and I was always like, "What are you doing? Why would you do that?" But now as an adult, I'm like, "Yeah, I get it." Like,
Put them
good.
in my butt, dude. I don't even care.
Orange peel up my ass. All right. All right. Well, that will conclude. We'll end the episode on orange peels up your ass.
Yeah, I don't care.
All right, brother. You got anything to say before we get out of here?
I got nothing. You enjoy your weekend.
I appreciate that, man. Well, like I said, we will not have an episode next week because of Easter and everything. So if you have the ability, go to church on Sunday, next Sunday, at least for Easter service. Actually, huge shout out. My church that I go to virtually, because I go there when I get the chance in person, is in Tampa, and the Easter service, because there's 12 campuses around the Tampa area, and the Easter service is at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Stadium. So that's going to be, I think, we were contemplating about whether to go to Florida or not, and I was like, this is like a once in a lifetime opportunity to have like, I don't know, 80,000 people all like praising God in like the stadium. I think it'd be so cool. So that's where I'll be spending my Easter. If you got the opportunity, go to church on Easter. Be grateful that God sent His Son to die for our sins and all that. But yeah. So with that being said, this has been From the Front Porch. I'm your host, Joshua Walker. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're still here, please like, please comment, please subscribe. And we will see you 2 weeks from now.